Well, the thing that makes it difficult for you to acknowledge non-physical is that the framework of your physical environment makes you want to assume that it's a similar framework, when consciousness is more fluid. And it also is helpful when you realize that you're really going to like this. If you've been listening to us for a little while, and have you heard us talking about how as you sift and sort through life that you launch these rockets that go into this vibrational reality. We call it the Vortex. We wrote a whole book about this vibrational reality. So if you can acknowledge that you've been living a lot of life and you've been asking and asking and asking, and each time you ask, Source was there to answer what you were asking. And let's call it Source. Let's call it collective consciousness. Let's call it infinite intelligence. It makes it feel easier for you to not say it's so busy. Infinite intelligence has time for you. And you're not asking for everything that you want all at once anyway. So you're asking, and so it's answered. Once it's answered, it's held in this vibrational reality for you. So now the question isn't, does Archangel Michael or Abraham or Jerry or God or whoever the label is that you're utilizing as you're making your request, it's not about them then needing to stand by all the time. The request is made and the vibration is being held in that ready for you to receive form. The question is, what are you doing about getting into the vibrational vicinity? Can you feel what we're saying? Can you feel the difference in saying, Archangel Michael, I want you to show me my path, and saying, I realize my path has already been created and you've already shined a spotlight on it, and now I will find a way of putting myself in a vibrational attitude or mood so that I can realize the path that's already there. We want to help you to feel that everything that you want is all queued up for you. The answers have already been made. It's the putting yourself in the place of receiving them. But you see, you don't realize that for the most part because you're more interested in the turning thoughts to things than you were in the creating of the thought to begin with. But the hard work's already done. You've lived the life that has done the creation. Now it's the allowing the creation to be realized by you. That's what your work now is. About everything. It's hard for you to hear that sometimes as we say, so there's this vortex of creation and everything that you want is there. Get in the vortex, we said. Get in the vortex. You got a little irritated that. How do I get in? How do I get in? And now we are saying, rather than get in the vortex, which is just another way of saying it, prepare yourself vibrationally so that what's in the vortex can be realized by you. Realized by you. Not revealed to you, realized by you. It's already been revealed. You just haven't realized the revelation. And then you say, okay. I realize there's money in my vortex. I would like to get it out of my vortex and into my bank. And that's what we're talking about here. You've got to find the vibrational atmosphere that allows you to be the receiver of it. And it will come in the form of an impulse. Esther's been playing a very productive and fun game with herself. She's been doing her best to not be scheduled all the time. She's trying to leave as much of her life unscheduled as possible so that she can follow the impulse. So when she gets an impulse to do something, an impulse to call someone, an impulse to text someone, an impulse to go move something from here to here, an impulse to unplug the charger and put it in the suitcase. How many times have you had that impulse, ignored it, and got home without your charger? Why not follow the impulse? And of course, those are simple ways of saying it, but following the impulse, because there is a really bright path that is lighting for you constantly. And whether you want to assign it to one archangel or another, we wouldn't. We would say, infinite intelligence has my back. Everyone that I've ever known is aware of me. So many things are queued up for me. There are 20 or 30 paths unfolding. It's one path, but 20 or 30 options for me to be on my path in any moment in time. Which one do I feel most inspired to? But it takes a little while for you to really get the hang of this, where you start following the path and then noticing, aren't you finding that all the time? Aren't you following an impulse and then later discovering that, oh, that's what that was about. That cued me up for that, and that cued me up for that, and that cued me up for that. Esther played the game for a while. Well, if that hadn't happened, then that couldn't have. And if that hadn't happened, then that couldn't have. Sort of playing it backwards. And we want you to realize that it's always lining up for you. Things are always working out for you. And you don't need to worry about all of us that are watching out with all of you, because there are plenty of consciousnesses who are aware of who you are and what you want. It's our favorite thing to tell you. We know where you stand right now in relationship to everything you want. And we know what the path of least resistance is to get you from where you are to where you want to be. And we want to also say that the path of least resistance does not mean the fastest path or the most direct route, although that's what you want it to mean usually. How can I get rid of the absence of what I want quickly? Or how can I get to the presence of what I want? And we say, don't you really want some of the path? Sometimes you feel like changing that condition would make you feel so much better. But we want you to realize that you can feel better right now, whether you change the condition or not. And if you can hear that, the condition does not have to change for you to feel better. And if you can hear that, and you can find a way to feel better, even though the condition hasn't changed, now you have mastered unconditional alignment, unconditional love. And when you master unconditional love, all kinds of conditions will reveal themselves to you. But there's a difference between needing the condition to be different so that you can feel good and feeling good and creating the condition. Can you hear it? It's just a little bit of time before you get this turned around, where you're just feeling a series of feelings, such as fun or interested. Do you really care if you're having fun? Isn't that a good way to spend this moment in time? If you're fascinated with something, isn't that a really good way to spend this moment in time? If you're exhilarated about something or passionate about something, do you really care where you're standing while you're feeling that way? Do you really need to be looking right in the face of someone to feel that way? Or is feeling that way as you imagine looking in the face of them? Isn't that worth something too, you see? It is so lovely to live unconditionally, to discover that the emotion that I feel can be achieved within me because I have the ability to focus myself there. And we would also like to say to you, you may or may not be ready to hear this, but we're going to lay it on you anyway. If it were not for all the conditions that you have trained yourself into believing were necessary, you would be happy all the time. Unconditional love is the most natural way that, look at the beasts of your planet. Look at them. They're happy. They're happy. Look at the little ones. The younger they are, the happier they are. Unless you start training them to believe that their happiness is dependent upon this condition and this condition, then they'll turn into little monsters really fast. You all do, you see. Unconditional happiness. I want you to be happy because it is your nature. No, I need you to do something nice for me that makes me feel happy. Well, what does feeling happy feel like? Well, it feels different than the way I feel right now because you're not doing anything nice to make me feel happy. But do you ever remember being happy? Yeah, when you were doing nice things for me. Well, has there ever been anything fun? Like, what's fun? What's fun? Have you ever done anything that's fun? If you can get somebody to think about what has been fun. You have the ability to conjure an emotion within you without a condition, do you? This is really the exercise that we're wanting you to ask yourself. Can you? The other day, Esther was sitting. She was writing, doing some of her processes with us. She had brought herself to a place of really feeling wonderful. And then she looked out and she noticed these beautiful bronze cranes that an artist made that are on the rocks on the other side of her pool. And she was looking at them. They are so perfectly created that if you didn't know better, you would think that they were really two cranes just standing there for a minute. The color of them is perfect, the balance of them, the posture of them, their apparent relationship with one another. she just could barely take her eyes off of them for quite a while. She just enjoyed them. And then she was looking at the pool. The pool is a zero edge pool. So if you're standing on the edge of it, you might be actually standing in it because the water comes out over the first tile. And then it drops off into a water garden. And so it has this infinity edge. And Esther was looking at it and just appreciating the perfection of it. The laying of those tiles was so interesting. Everything had to be in perfect balance in order for this pool to function the way it does. And it is so beautiful. The way the light captures it, because there's no shadow, the way the water is straight across. She's looking at that and she's just devouring it. She can barely believe her good fortune at having something so beautiful right outside her door. And then she looked up and here are these magnificent oak trees and a red cardinal in one and something over there. And then she said, Abraham, these are conditions that I'm focused upon. So, am I having conditional love or unconditional love? And we said the difference is you found the love before the conditions came into your awareness. You weren't using the conditions to conjure the love. So the question is, are we asking you to find the condition that then generates the emotion? Or are we asking you to find the emotion in its purest form, because you can, in order to then get the momentum going to attract the other? We've said to you for a while, and we can see why there's some controversy within you about this, but we're going to work the bugs out of it for you. We've said to you, first there's thought, and then you have the feeling response. But you were born into this physical experience as a thinking being. And the thoughts that you held as you were born into this experience, who you are, who you knew yourself to be, was unwavering, unwobbling. Your worthiness was not contested by you. Your value was not contested by you. Your anticipation of what this life would be like for you was not in controversy within you. So you were born with this general sense of well-being, which for most has eroded as you have demanded that the conditions change so that you can have a feeling response to the condition. We know we have said this dozens of times already in the short time that we have been together. But the reason that we keep repeating it is because we want more than life itself for you, because it is life itself for you. We want you to embrace this idea of being unconditional in your alignment. Because once you get it, every condition in your life will rally to support the alignment that you've discovered in not needing the conditions to be there in order to find the alignment. Can you feel the circular reasoning in all this? I need that condition to change so that I can feel better. And then when I feel better, all conditions will be better. You can't get there from there. You cannot get there from there. I feel good here. And law of attraction will add momentum to that. And eventually, the momentum of that wobble freeness will evolve into conditions that will be wobble free. There. We almost said it the best that it could be said. There's wobble in all conditions. That's why you need unconditional love. So if you get unconditional love where there's no wobble, and you focus there because now you know how, then law of attraction will respond to that love which is wobble-free, and then the conditions that are generated by that wobble-free will be joyful conditions. Really good conversation.